Hey, what's going on? This is the So Well Unveiled Cosmic Wanderer podcast. My name's Jason, and I'm the host. Actually, we've got a new co-host, and that's Jason Doris, our guest from the previous 2 episodes. He's going to be the new co-host. So we're going to be doing this thing together from here on out. And, I couldn't do this by myself, so I kind of needed him. So I'd like to introduce Jason Doris as our new co-host. What's happening?
Hello.
Where did I set my water? Oh, right here. I got it.
Get it.
I got it. So what's going on?
Oh, just been thinking about 0 point energy and its implications.
0 point energy. I kind of have no idea what you're talking about, so you're going to have to educate us on that.
Well, in theory, because so much has been hidden, Nikola Tesla, near 100 years ago, if not longer, developed what he called 0 point energy, and he was able to make certain type of antennas and machines that pulled free energy either from the magnetic part of our Earth, from the ground, or out of the ether in the sky. And he had
kind of like static electricity.
Well, it's just kind of like, even with lightning, is probably a manifestation of it that most of us are familiar with. I think they say that one lightning strike would have enough power to keep a big city like L.A. In energy for 72 hours, something like that.
Oh, I believe it.
So it's coming out of, there's energy everywhere. And, we're made of energy ourselves.
Right.
When you get down to the quarks and atoms and atomic structure.
Particles firing off everywhere like fireworks.
Yeah, like the reason why they call it atomic structure. But anyhow, he had...
Well, I've got a question. What about like that thing, like when you were little and you'd put your hand on that big glass thing and it had the saying?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was that exactly. What was the name of that? Was it Magic Attic? No, that was in Myrtle Beach.
No, there was one up in Charlotte, Discovery Zone.
But there also, you could go to the mall. I remember, not Dutch Square.
Spencer's.
What was that mall out in Northeast?
Columbia Mall.
Was it Columbia Mall?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Spencer's, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had all the cool posters, but they had that ball. I mean, that was like every kid's, wet dream for Christmas.
And it would make your hair. Would it make your hair stand up?
I think
put
so.
Your hands on it or whatever. I guess, they locked it in, man.
Right, yeah. So, but there wasn't any profit to be made in it. And so Tesla had funding from Westinghouse, which was a big player with power back in those days.
Right.
And they still are around today, but he almost went broke.
Westinghouse, were they out of Atlanta?
It might have been. I'm not sure about that. But Edison, matter of fact, Tesla was one attributed for going from direct current to alternating current AC,
right?
Which is what we use today in our house and all.
Sure.
And Edison, as a matter of fact, they had the first electric chair. Edison was so proud that he knew better than anybody else. Matter of fact, most of his patents came from people that worked under him. He just took credit for it.
Right.
Called him the Wizard of Menlo Park, but he was not a very ethical person. But he had already made so much money that he could out-lawyer Westinghouse and almost broke Westinghouse. And that's when, and he already knew, Tesla actually worked for Edison originally, but
he wanted to monopolize everything.
Well, and there was he proved that you could get free energy with very little infrastructure. And that's when all the bigwigs that you never hear their names shut that down real quick. Yeah, and he died in a poorhouse. He was on house arrest in New York City up until the 40s, right during the end of World War II when he died. Now, interesting point tying into that is we were going to start talking about time potentially.
That's right.
And Donald Trump's uncle was an MIT professor, and after he befriended Tesla, but they think he worked for the OSS, which was
that was on his mother's side or
on his father's side. Yeah, but he worked for a secret agent for the OSS, which was the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA.
Right.
Changed a little bit after that to CIA, but after the war. But he befriended Tesla, and after Tesla died,
and this was Donald Trump's uncle.
Uncle,
okay,
yeah, his dad's brother.
What was his name? You know his name?
You can look it up. I can't remember right off the top of my head.
Ronnie Trump.
No, but after Tesla died, the FBI took all his papers, and J. Edgar Hoover had Donald Trump's dad go through them and see if there was anything of strategic value. And the official story is there wasn't, but we know better.
Right.
And there was a lot of things coming out now. Supposedly 2025 is the year where all things will be revealed. Unveiled, and revealed.
Yeah.
And so all these pedophiles and all these crazy people and everything's coming out now, whether it's old P. Diddy or whatever.
Right.
That, I think all truth is going to be revealed, and so this is potentially going to be a really great year.
Right.
And as long as you're not guilty.
Right. Well, I try to live a pretty simple life myself. I haven't watched any news in probably 6-7 years. I don't even listen to local radio because I don't want to listen to the commercials. I stream television. I stream any content. I stream so I can filter out.
That's right.
Any unnecessary information that I don't want to listen to, which it's a lot of it's unnecessary. I just kind of try to live a simple life and try to, just spend my time
wisely.
Wisely, exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Going back to Tesla, the last thing I want to say about that was there are people coming out now saying that he had a working time machine.
Really?
Not only in his drawings, but a prototype. And people can take that for what they want to, pursue that rabbit hole. But there's a lot of interesting information, and it ties in with Donald Trump's uncle and his own ascension to this day, and so many interesting implications if that was true.
Was he older than Donald Trump's father?
Yeah, I think by a couple of 4 years maybe. So
he was a college professor. He wasn't a businessman
working for the OSS or the CIA. I mean, he probably wore many hats, and we probably only get what they want us to know.
Right. Right, exactly. So what's been going on?
Just hanging out with Dog Eli, throwing frisbees.
Yeah.
Cooking some. Hadn't done any painting lately. No. I got your painting out there.
Yeah, I like it. Looks good, man. I like it a lot.
And I've been doing some reading when the sun's out.
Well, the sun's good. The weather's been nice the last few days.
Definitely.
It's supposed to be. I don't know. It's kind of overcast today. It's supposed to be. I don't know. Yesterday, 2 days ago, was real nice, man. It was almost 80 degrees.
I know, that was crazy. I was able to take my shirt off and read a couple chapters just to get some vitamin D, free vitamins.
You're not going to take your shirt off right now.
No.
Do you mind if I do? I'm just messing with you. But anyway, we were going to talk about, there's really no set platform for today. We're going to kind of talk about this and that. It was supposed to be kind of about time, and I guess we'll kind of stick with that. Basically, the thing about time is how it affects you from a mental state, psychological state, spiritual state, what you do with your time.
Right.
And,
another one of the more pernicious things about time is what they call the doomsday clock, which when they started working on the Manhattan Project and came up with the atomic bomb and then later the hydrogen bomb, the scientists and some people in the government created what they call a doomsday clock, and they're a board of scientists supposedly that come together and constantly observe all the tensions and anything going on around the world and any rising tensions, and they move the clock hand up closer to what they call, I guess, ground zero, which would be the world's going to end, right? And I think they said we're about 7 minutes away from 12 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah, right now.
Only God controls.
Oh, yeah.
Controls that.
Oh, as Bob Marley said, no man can stop at the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I wrote down a couple things the other day, just freestyling in like 10 minutes. I'm just going to read some of them off.
Sure, go.
Like, time.
You're the co-host.
Time is elusive. Time waits for no one. If I could turn back time, a time for every season, time's up. Sometimes a broken clock is always right twice a day. Time passes along. No man can stop the time. Time is an illusion. Time passengers from time to time. Time to act, it's about time. Going through time, we need time. Time will sort it out. It just takes time. Time is your friend. Time is running out. Where? It's a transitive verb. No time like the present. Just take your time. So, yeah.
That's a good song, too, Tom.
Oh, that's a great song. Pink Floyd.
I like that song. Now, when did we were talking about on the last episode, we haven't done one. We were behind, had some technical difficulties with some of this cheap podcasting equipment I have. But we were talking about the sundial, remember?
That's right.
And who invented that? Did we ever figure out who invented the sundial?
I mean, and again, I'm dubious about...
Slave owner, probably.
I'm dubious about history because his story, whoever, controls whatever moment in time can write what they want to write. And there's Josephus was a Jewish writer, and he wrote the Antiquities of the Jews, but he was under Roman control. So his version of history
got edited.
It got edited, and he had to keep his masters happy about
what he thought and what he saw and what he knew.
Yeah, so they tell us that the most earliest civilizations, Sumeria, Akkadian, something of that nature, and and they have sundials from back then. But my guess is that is pretty primitive. The Druids had sundials, which were couple thousand years later after the Sumerians.
Right.
But, we're over there in Ireland and Scotland and whatnot, England.
Man, it'd be cool not to really have to worry about time. Wouldn't it be cool to live in a situation where you didn't have to worry about what time you got up or what time you went to sleep? Or
Yeah, I think so. Circadian rhythm is kind of interesting. It's weird that we sleep, a third of our life on average?
Right. Some people more.
Some people more, but I think on average it's a third. Imagine how populated the planet would be if you didn't need to sleep.
Right, you'd have more time to...
Yeah.
That's true.
Make whoopee.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, sundials, they were like Stonehenge.
Right.
Was built. There's the pyramids line up with...
Do they know who... They still don't know who did Stonehenge, do they?
No.
Some people say aliens, but that's...
Well, if aliens are, Nephilim, if you go back and read the Bible in Genesis 6, it talks about the men of old, the men of renown, talking about Nephilim, which are giants.
Right.
So
right.
I would... But there's also people... there's a guy down in, I think, St. Petersburg, built a coral castle. And he did it all by himself over, I want to say, 40, 50 years. And he never let anybody watch him. And now he's gone and people can tour it. They don't understand how he did it because some of these things are 2 or 3 tons.
Right.
And
well, kind of like the pyramids, too.
Yeah, exactly. So there's Göbekli Tepe. There's so many sites around.
I know what you're talking about. I saw something back when I used to watch network television about 10 years ago about that cat that did that. And it's a mystery, but there's actually hidden technologies, and the reason why stuff is hidden, what I wanted to go to is it's conceivable that with the right vibrations that you can move objects. And and again, there's no money to be made in that, just like 0-point energy. So they can't keep a man down or a woman down their whole life, and and you have to worry about time because you're having to work all the time, just to make ends meet. Right.
And if you could levitate,
I know about that.
If you could levitate things with, vibration of certain hertzes, if we had free energy and didn't have to pay an electric bill, and you didn't have the infrastructure, all the wires and everything,
right?
that Tesla approved, and that's when they shut them down and put them on house arrest, then we would have more time. Right. And I believe, the Creator intended us to have more time,
Right.
Time to work, time to rest.
Right.
And in our modern quote-unquote society today, it's the opposite. It's made to keep us running around like rats off a sinking ship,
Well, and think about depression and, Americans today, or just worldwide, like depression and what you do with your time and how much medication you're prescribed.
There you go.
How much you take during your time.
Yeah. How
much poison you put in your body.
See, they have to keep the pharmaceutical industry in business, making billions or trillions. So we have to be depressed.
Right,
and so they have to
they're not depressed, though,
they have to set up a situation where we have a structure where, only the strong survive,
Right. Right. Well, if you want to call it that, only the stupid survive, I suppose.
Yeah, it reminds me of some of those Far Side cartoons. You remember that?
Right. No, not really. I do know what you're talking about, but not so much. Who did Far Side?
Gary, not Olson. It might be. No, I can't remember. Gary somebody. But usually it'd be like he would reverse what people do to animals in kind of like situation.
Right.
So you'd be like, you'd have two deer sitting there in a sofa chair by a fireplace. Reading the newspaper, and then you'd have human heads mounted on the wall. Right. Yeah, stuff like that.
Speaking of that,
Gary Larson.
Gary Larson.
Yeah.
Have you ever remember, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, say the newspaper, any local newspaper, how thick it was? Like the Sunday paper, how thick it is.
That's right.
Have you seen them now? I don't buy the newspaper, but have you seen the size of it's like a couple of sheets.
Yeah, well, I mean, that industry got destroyed when the internet took off.
Right.
So
then you have to pay. Now you have to pay if you want to go. If there's an ad and you go online,
right?
And you want to search something, say the state newspaper here or whatever it may be, it'll give you a little snippet of information or news.
Oh yeah,
and then it'll pull the rug out from under you, and you got to pay. You have to pay money to read the rest of a freaking article.
That pisses me off.
You have to pay for the news, which I don't really care about the news anyway.
No, and going back to what you mentioned earlier about been 6 years or so, I'm the same way. I haven't watched TV in, gosh knows, 6-7 years. But
it's depressing, man.
Well, and also when
sick.
You find out now that and you can actually research this. It's BlackRock, Vanguard, and I can't remember the third company owns all the media across the world. So you got three corporations with deep state budgets.
Sure.
And they control the narrative.
Their own agenda.
It's like an Orwellian dystopia. I mean, we're living in 1984, a farm, Animal Farm.
The sky's falling. And everybody.
Brave New World. I mean, all of those dystopian, end of the world type.
Look how the media, the toilet paper thing a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That was all because of the media.
With the scamdemic, pandemic. Crap. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, I mean, like how much ass paper do you need on sitting, in your valuable space? People had, reminds me of those, what are those people that hoarders?
Right.
Another cautionary tale, I remember reading a story and
there's probably people still with toilet paper,
probably they've got, it's like what do you call it? A maze in their house,
Or the coupon ladies.
The coupon ladies. They're people that, the hoarders that keep every piece of paper, newspaper, advertisements, everything. And
that's a good way to spend your time, isn't it?
There was a guy in New York about 20 years ago. No, not at all.
No.
Where he ran off all three of his wives and his children because he just couldn't stop collecting things. And somebody finally started to smell a smell and hadn't seen the dude in a while. And they broke down his door and one of those stacks of magazines crushed him and smothered him to death.
Really?
Yeah. So
they could wrap him up with toilet paper like a mummy.
Yeah. So people just be careful what you collect and what you do with your time.
Time.
Be judicious.
That's right.
The time has come today.
Yeah, man. I used to, spend a lot of time thinking about, chasing a buzz. I used to be a heavy drinker. I quit drinking almost 5 years ago. And, for about, I don't know, close to 25 years, I spent literally 100% of my time worrying about when I was going to have the next drink.
Wow.
I would go to bed
Yeah.
thinking about drinking, and then when I would wake up, I didn't necessarily wake up in the middle of the night or wake up the next morning and take a drink, but I would be thinking like, okay, when am I going to drink again? You know what I mean? And that it wasn't a good way to live your life.
What do they say? I've heard people say that before. You start drinking out of the bottle and end up with the bottle drinking out of you.
That's exactly. Well, there's that. Have you ever seen that sculpture? I forget what famous sculptor made it, but it shows like a bottle, and the guy's drinking from the bottle, but the bottle's actually drinking. I don't know. It's
almost kind of
it's like glass
suspended.
and bronze. Yeah, it's like glass and bronze.
Like
I forget the name of the artist that did that, but it's cool as shit. There's like a little, like you said. What was that quote you said again?
Which one? Drinking.
Right.
You start drinking out of the bottle, and then is it drinking out of you?
Right. That's exactly, and that's what happened. And that really is what happens with anything you do, or what? Oh, Eli just fell.
A lot of Eli, you all right? Eli doesn't worry about time.
The only thing he cares about is when he can go catch the frisbee.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he's a frisbee junkie, but there's worse habits to have, and he's pretty good at it. One of my favorite. I remember when I used to go to bars, is that sign. Every now and then you see it. It would say "Free beer tomorrow." Talking about time, but tomorrow's never came,
Well,
tomorrow never knows. I think a Beatles song.
I wasn't a big fan of bars, and the bars really weren't a big fan of me. Mm. Really, nobody was a big fan of me when I used to drink. So, I did. It's not the way I spend your.
But that's interesting. You're saying 25% of your adult life when you did drink was somewhat centered around.
No, like 90-something%. I did it for about 25 years.
Oh, 25 years.
Yeah, that was my only focus, Yeah. And, you wake up in that 25 years, how fast it went, and how much time I wasted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasted so much time being selfish. And only worrying about myself.
Right.
And I didn't care about anybody else. You know what I mean? I mean, I did, but I didn't.
Well, there's a reason why they call them spirits.
Right. It controls you, man.
Yeah.
It's the devil. My dad used to say that when I was younger. And I didn't heed his warning, when I'd come home smelling like alcohol as a teenager, and he knew it. He called it the devil.
Well,
and it was, man. It ruined my life. It ruined my life, and I spent so much time. But whatever. I'm all good now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm good now, and I can look back on it now and realize, what I did, and I can't change time.
But you took power and authority and reclaimed it.
Right.
That's a victory.
Right. Well, you wake up one day and you're just like, I can't do this,
Right.
And that happened many times. Oh, I can't do this. But then you go back to doing it. Finally, one day I just decided I'm not doing it anymore. Yeah. And best decision I ever made in my entire life. And I feel like, I enjoy time more than what I do. And I pay a lot more attention to what I do now, with the time that I do have.
Right.
I mean, I like doing this with you.
Yeah.
I mean, this podcast, we're just kind of rambling, not really talking about anything, going from one subject to another. But, I would rather be doing this than, drinking a Goldschlager or Rumpelmilch.
Ah, Lordy.
Vodka.
Vodka. Yeah.
Grey Goose.
Grey Goose.
Yeah, used to drink about, I don't know.
That reminds me of a story about Paul Newman.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I like Paul Newman.
Oh, he's a great actor. He's gone now. Raised a lot for charity, is for sure. But he for 40, 50 years he'd wear what they call a church key, which is an old can opener, around his neck on a lanyard. And one day a guy asked him why he always wore that. And
it was an actual can opener.
Yeah.
One of those old school can openers?
Where before even they had pull tabs and pop tabs and now and then pull tabs, but they had beer that was just solid, and you'd have to punch 2 holes in it.
Solid can,
so
right.
you could drink one side of it in the air, the carburetor would work on the other side.
Right.
So,
like a big thing of Hawaiian Punch.
Yeah. So I think a director asked him why he wore it, and he goes, "Well, let me ask you a question." He goes, he said, he goes, there are 24 hours in a day and 24 cans in a case of beer. Is it a coincidence?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, but yeah, Tom.
Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, Cool Hand HUD, Cool Hand Luke, the Sting.
The Sting, yeah. I like that song.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yep, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
B.J. Thomas.
And then, and then you got in the Sting, The Entertainer.
Yeah, The Entertainer. That's a great song.
Who did The Entertainer? What's his name? Joplin, Scott Joplin.
He was one of those like
old school jazz,
early
right.
19th century or 20th century. People like Jerome Kearns and the standards that write the standards.
Right.
I
like that old school music, man.
I definitely it's fascinating when you talk about time before electricity and the more modern inventions of like electric guitars or organs, all that stuff. Everything was manual.
Right.
And so you had to amplify. I mean, you played in smaller halls. You couldn't play huge arenas. But the time has changed a lot of things, some for the better, some might argue not so much,
Right. I think not so much.
Yeah.
I wish we could go back 50 years,
I think we mentioned before, but maybe it was talking about time being the fourth dimension. I think Einstein's given credit with that, but essentially that the first dimensions are first, second, and third is length, height, and width.
Right.
In our existence, our spatial, corporal existence, and then Einstein added time. So that's kind of interesting.
Now, do you think we're the only? Well, I'm sure we are. We're the only species that tracks time, aren't we? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean,
monkeys and dogs and shit they don't freaking track time, do they?
Yeah. So
do you think God wants us to track time? He probably wants us to be, actually, there's quotes, actually, in what you do with your time. I don't know.
There are certain feasts and tabernacles and things of that.
Right.
That's within Judaism and,
right. Old Testament.
Yeah, the observance. But it wasn't to control you as much as it was to, like I said, I believe and I know that God wants us to have more rest and relaxation and time to heal and to play.
Right.
And to...
Well, he wants us
critically
to enjoy
thinking,
ourselves. Right.
Yeah, always anti-slavery, and we could make arguments today that a lot of us are slaves in certain ways to the way the world.
100%. We're all slaves, man.
Yeah, and that's not how things were intended.
Well, you see our phones.
Oh yeah,
everyone's a freaking slave to their phone, man.
Well, yeah, you remember I remember years ago. I don't go to restaurants much anymore, but you'd see young couples like. Hot girl with a young boyfriend, and they're just sitting there looking at their phones 2 feet away from each other the whole time.
Or dinner, that's what they do at dinner. They're looking at their phone. You're right.
What happened with interpersonal communication and people, I remember me and my brother would be playing Smear the Queer with a Nerf football with the neighborhood kids, and my mom would yell, and we had to run in there to eat dinner, and everybody, once they got their plate, there was this conversation going around, and it was family time. It was cool.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that doesn't exist anymore.
No, I don't think so much. Well, with the way everything is, back in the day, people would eat dinner together.
Yeah.
They would have, go to church on Sunday, have Sunday dinner together. But it's not like that anymore. That's a shame, man. It's a shame.
Oh, Mom always made, after church on Sundays, fried chicken, mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like comfort food,
You think she can make that again for us?
Sometimes. Oh, definitely. Well, I think I'd have to take care of that. She doesn't do so much cooking anymore.
I got you. I can make some good fried chicken too, man.
Do you have any kind of secrets?
Yeah. Well, one thing is you can brine the chicken.
Okay. Salt water.
Yeah, a little salt water, maybe a little bit of sugar,
or vinegar.
I don't use vinegar.
Okay.
I do a little bit of salt, a little bit of water, and a little bit of sugar. But the point is, it's not enough. To make a difference. It just slightly starts to break down a little bit and tenderize it. Another key is cold.
Do you do that overnight or just a couple hours or how?
A couple hours.
Okay.
Like chicken, fish, stuff like that. You don't really have to marinate, but, about 2 to 4 hours. When you get up pork, beef, that kind of stuff is like, 8 to 12, up to 24 hours. It takes a little bit longer. I guess the meat is a lot more dense and there's more fibrous than, say, chicken or fish.
That makes sense.
Chicken and fish doesn't take as long to marinate or to brine as, say, beef or pork.
Right.
Another key, too, is cold. Has a really cold.
You mean while it's brining?
Well, no, when you're about to cook it, like
gotcha.
Yeah, cold, like ice cold. I don't know why, but yeah, that's kind of, I don't know.
Now steak's opposite. Supposedly you're supposed to let it get room temperature to get a better. Do you know? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've done both ways, man. I don't think it really. Now I have noticed, like, if you're going to grill something,
right,
and the steaks are like room temperature, they don't tend to stick as much to what you're
the
surface you're cooking on. But also, let the grill do its work or whatever you're cooking, and don't work it.
Right.
Let the grill do the work.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Sage advice.
And that's about time. And good food is always about timing. Right? Timing. It's always about timing.
Yeah, I look at food just like I do with drawing or creating music or anything. There's art in everything there can be.
Sure.
And to me, food, cooking is edible art,
Oh, without a doubt. There's art everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Everywhere we look,
Yeah, and I love that aspect of things. Because, if you have to do so, if you have to do it, then that's part of that slavery concept we were talking about.
Right.
But if you're
being forced to do it, right.
You got pressure to do it because
right.
you got to
right.
get paid.
Well, that's like, you know what, man? Like, I like cooking for people that I like. I used to be a chef.
Oh, you're a great cook.
I guess I still am. But, when you have a job, and that's your job is to cook, you don't really like that. You get burnt out from it.
Right.
But I really do, like, I enjoy cooking for my friends and family, loved ones, people I care about. Like, I get off on that. I like doing that. Now, if I go to work and I have to cook, not so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Julio Childs.
Right. I like to sit back and chill and, have a conversation and have a good time and cook. That's a difference than having to get paid to do it. I don't like to be forced to do anything.
I've just been a long time, but I've worked in kitchens and cooked and I've washed dishes with the Hobart and all that good stuff. It's a high pressure. People aren't.
It's not a healthy environment.
No, people. There's.
And talking about time.
And it gets hot.
And talking about time.
Yeah, time.
Oh, we got to get this out. We got to get this out.
Yeah.
We need this. We need it. The pressure.
Yeah.
Time. It puts pressure on everyone.
Excuse me. And if you got a 20 top table and you got 3 or 4 pages of menu items,
right?
Then we got a problem here because you got to bring everything out fresh. But a pizza might only take so much time, but a steak, you know what I mean, and
right.
get it all out at the same time.
That's another thing too. People make mistakes on.
Yeah,
in
too many items.
There's too many items, and you spend too much time looking at the menu,
right?
And then you lose track. So
the restaurant's losing more customers with a longer menu
right.
because people are taking more time.
Right.
Where that table doesn't turn over.
Well, not only that, you've got too many items on the menu and not cross-utilizing things or not. Man, I believe in like specializing in a few items and doing those items really, 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 really good.
I think that's great.
Yeah, do 4 to 6 items killer.
Yeah.
Instead of 15 to 20 half-ass. And you are going to half-ass when you do 15 to 20.
Yeah, and then you got turnover of training cooks and and all that. It's just you can kill your restaurant before it gets off the ground with too many choices.
Well, and that's with anything.
Complications.
And that's with anything, man.
That's true. And we're back. I got another short list of just time elements. It's time you listen. How time I whip your ass. The totality of time. Ancient times. Time just right. You have great timing. Give it time, just in time. Time takes what it cannot wait for. Time is a bitch, 2-time bastard. When your time comes, it's not your time. I'll give you more time. Time me. Once upon a time.
Could you remember? Could you just give me time?
Yeah, you remember that time?
Yeah.
Lost time. That's timeless. Timex watches. Time to change the calendar. Have you done your time? You are right on time. Time's a slave. Do we have time? We barely have time. Good timing. Time is a great equalizer. Time rush every time. Really this time? How time you listen? Time away every time. Two-timer. Time's on your side. Back in time. Next time. Tripping through time. Timelines. Please give me more time. Time is precious. Time traveler. Time stamp. Time you cared. Right on time.
Time is on. Such a good Rolling Stones song.
Yeah.
I like that song.
That's a great one.
How long does it take to make a diamond? Do you know? I don't know. I figure you would know. That's
they have not fake diamonds, but manufactured diamonds,
right.
And they got these high pressurized. I'm not sure what the process is.
It does the same thing with coal, and does the same thing.
Yeah, they do. They have a process to do that, but I think they're called Herkimer diamonds, and it's some highly fusion, high pressure process. But
they expensive or they're cheaper than
they're cheaper than
right.
Yeah. So
how much cheaper? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But that's
like I'm trying to think how much time you would have to work to buy one of those, and the difference in time, and to buy a big diamond and a smaller. One of those man-made diamonds.
See, again, I'm not sure if science is telling us the truth, but I think it takes millions of years of pressure under coal, you know.
I'm sure.
So, and I mean, diamonds are good if you can use them for something, but I mean, just to have on a bauble, on a ring or whatever, like, what is that?
Right.
If you can't eat it, you can't smoke
or
it. Or
use it as a tool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tool, like, we had sandpaper when I did hardwood floors for many years. They would there's products where they put diamond powder and diamond tip tools and things of that nature, and they just use small, like, leftover,
dust
that wouldn't have any value other than being able to collect it together and create a tool with it. So it does have uses for sure. So anyhow, not that I'm not a jewelry person.
Nah, me either.
You either? Yeah.
Nah, man. I can't wear like necklaces or watches, rings. I can't do it. I like to dress nice, but I don't like anything dangling or hanging off my neck or.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I know everybody's different, but like I'm not impressed by gold or anything,
Well, gold, man, kind of, in my opinion, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. It's kind of cheesy to me.
Gaudy.
It looks cheesy, dude.
Yeah.
Like back in the 80s, oh, that's cool. Remember those cheesy little horns that people would wear? You know what I'm talking about? On their necklace? What were those called? You know what I'm talking about?
No, not sure.
Those little horns, they were like little horns that people would wear.
Like a cornucopia or something?
I don't know. They were just like little small horns, different sizes people would put on necklaces.
But I do remember the 80s, and there was a lot of people wearing gold.
How about the gold nugget rings?
Oh, yeah.
Those gold nugget rings?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. How about Mr. T?
Well,
I pity the fool.
He actually kind of sported it.
Oh, he did.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's like he put the bling in bling.
B.A. Baracus. Bad attitude.
That's right.
The A-team.
The only thing he was scared of was flying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to knock him out.
It may have had to do with Murdoch. You remember Murdoch?
It might have to do when he read about Noah getting drunk after he got off the ark and then getting molested, like did.
I don't recall that story.
Yeah, the first thing he did when the land cleared on Mount Ararat, it's in the Bible, he planted a vineyard, and as soon as the grapes, he made wine, and as soon as they did that, because the oxygen levels were different from the world prior of the flood, and so he got super drunk and passed out, and his son Ham did something, they don't quite tell you what, but it says uncovered his nakedness. So, then his lineage was cursed. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I
mean, Noah probably thought he had nothing but time at that point.
Time. Well, yeah. Well, this is the like I said, Jason's going to be a new co-host on this show. I don't know. We kind of rambled today, but that's kind of what this is going to be about from here on out. And we're still going to have guests with more structured formats.
Nice.
Basically, basically this was just going to be, you know, kind of introducing Jason as you know, the co-host of this show. Because I enjoyed him on the first two. You know,
symbiotic.
He
man,
did well. You know, you make me look a lot better. If I just sat here, I would just mumble through words and not really know what I was talking about. It would have to be more structured, and I don't really want to be structured. But like I said, here moving forward, we'll have some guests and some things that interest me, and you know, you too, Phil. You know, bring people on, and we'll you know.
It's wonderful for me because as the previous two episodes about being sick and dying and coming back,
right?
I actually have time on my hands like I never had in my adult life, and so this is a wonderful opportunity to me to give me something to, you know,
a little bit of structure.
Yeah, structure, focus on, and
structure is good.
And I miss people. I miss, you know.
Right. I like hanging out with you and doing this too. And again, I've said this maybe on the first and the second episode that we did. Man, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I really could care less if one person listened to this thing,
right,
or if 10,000. It's really something that I can do productive with my time. Something I'd enjoy doing. It's like me and you hanging out.
Yeah.
All we're doing is recording it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and actually, I've been on the other side. I've listened to many podcasts, and some of them are fascinating, and you wouldn't get those conversations or hear them had they not existed.
Sure.
If you didn't know those people firsthand.
Right.
So, you know, I imagine there are people out there that might find this amusing or interesting, and if not, that's okay.
Right.
You know, we're not forcing anything on anybody. It's the format. It's you know, some medium. So,
and again, we might.
It's fun to participate.
We're going to have guests, and some of the different episodes will definitely be a lot more structured.
Right.
But I kind of like just shooting the shit and talking shit and just kind of rolling, kind of like we were just hanging outside, man. Speaking outside, it's a beautiful day today, man. Looks like it's going to be about 80 degrees here in Columbia, South Carolina.
So you bring the sunshine with you, man. When you got here, it was cloudy and overcast, and yeah,
I'm glad you think that, because there's a lot of people out there that don't think that, you know.
Well,
but either way, screw them. It doesn't matter. Time.
Cool.
But anyway, man, thanks for joining us today. You got anything to say, Jason? Go ahead. I know you do.
This might be the year of the turtle. You know how the Chinese have different...
I think it's the rat this year.
Oh, is it?
I'm almost positive it's the rat.
I don't know why I was thinking of turtles.
I don't even know what I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what you are?
No, I don't think
I don't either. Maybe the monkey? I think I'm the monkey. No, I think I might be the monkey. I'm serious.
You know, I did know one time, because you get like on a fortune cookie or something, you know, and but I don't remember which one. I think the rabbit. Maybe I'm the rabbit.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one. Well, y'all take it easy.
Can't catch me.
No, I appreciate y'all listening. If you're a first-time listener, you know, leave a comment. Tell somebody about it. If not, whatever. Y'all take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Oh, by the way, did you like this new song that I got?
That's the new one? I like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Mudslide. The name of it's called Mudslide.
Okay. No, I like it a lot. Yeah, so I figured...
Y'all take it easy.